that LSD is the greatest gift to mankind since Tutti Frutti ice cream. But there are many others who feel that LSD is bad news to the individual and to the world he lives in. For us to make our decisions, we'll have to listen and understand both sides before we make up our minds. While it would be very difficult to find people to tell you how good for you heroin is, or speed, or barbiturates, it's very easy to find people who just can't wait to tell you how great LSD, peyote, DMT, SDP, mescaline, and of course marijuana is.
I don't really do drops and pills, but you get the wildest highs on acid. The only way, the only time I think I've been able to understand myself was on an acid trip. Then things were really clear.
I've taken LSD 42 times, and it hasn't done me any harm. Why knock it? Some of our country's greatest minds drop acid. They couldn't all be dummies.
But everyone says when you drop some acid, the whole world becomes clear to you, like an open book.
What if you thought of it as a great adventure, a great experience, and you had someone with you for the whole trip?
I don't believe all that dumb stuff about chromosome damage. We would have seen all them deformed babies by now anyway.
That's basically what one side has to say in favor of LSD. Now let's hear what the other side has to say. Then we'll be able to make up our own minds. Let's hear from young people who have the reasons for being down on LSD. Let's also hear from doctors, psychologists, and other experts who have tried LSD themselves. Who've had a great deal of experience with LSD and
I've ever been able to understand myself was on an acid trip. Then things were really clear.
As a psychologist, I have to tell you that the understanding you think you have gained just doesn't fit in with the facts. Here are the facts. You've been on a number of trips, and we're both agreed that you're having even more problems with your school, your parents, and even your friends. Perhaps what you think or feel on a trip just doesn't fit in with the straight world which you must return to and must learn to live in. As far as understanding yourself is concerned, the only real understanding you could gain would come from having a bummer and then analyzing it, which would mean you'd have to want to try to have bummers and then attempt to understand them the way that psychologists analyze dreams, which, unless you are properly trained, you cannot do by yourself.
I don't believe dropping pills, but you get the wildest trips on acid, yeah, but you can also get the wildest bummers, and you can never really be sure what it's going to be. But what do you mean? Nobody ever knows enough about the quality of the acid itself, or their own hidden hang-ups that would make it be a real trip, or a real bummer. Yeah, but you dropped acid. My third trip was a real bummer, enough to make me not want to go on a fourth.
You were really cool when you did it, just setting the right. You're not uptight or paranoid about getting busted. What if you think of it as a great adventure, a great experience, and you have someone with you through the whole trip, someone straight who hasn't had any acid?
Well, it could be a great experience and a great adventure if you're really in the right frame of mind, if you're sure about the dose in the cap, if you could be absolutely certain there wouldn't be chromosome damage, if you won't feel guilty about what your parents would think, and if you're sure you couldn't get busted because it is against the law. But how can you be sure that for the 8 or 16 hours the trip will take, that your straight friend, your babysitter, will be reliable, will stay with you, be able to handle any problems you might get into, and not have a contact trip recurrence of his own just from watching you on yours?
Why knock it? Some of our country's greatest minds drop acid. They couldn't all be dummies. Who forced them?
everybody loves everybody, so it's very hard to find just one person to love. Who says you can't love one person when you're on acid? What is there to stop you? I say you can't. I mean, it takes over 10 hours for an LSD trip, right?
Right.
So the kids that are involved in LSD don't have time for anything but themselves. They don't have time for anybody, whether it be just one person or everyone in their lives.
You guys are just not with it. You belong back in the dark ages with the cavemen. How do you expect to get on in this world if you don't keep up with what's going on?
But everyone says when you drop some acid, the whole world becomes clear to you, like an open book.
I've got news for you. It would take more than LSD for me to understand what's wrong with the whole world, or even our local politics. Honey, you may think that you know things when you're up, but you can't really know any more than you already knew before you took the LSD.
You may have feelings with LSD about what you know, feelings you've never felt before. But you could never know what you haven't learned yet.
Evelyn, I've been trying to tell you something, but you never give me a chance. I'm listening. Why don't you tell me what you're gonna say? I've been thinking we should try some acid. I hear it's a real cool trip. Sure, and so is cocaine. But where are we gonna find that kind of money? Besides, if anyone finds out, we'll be in a lot of trouble. Man, like cocaine is a hard drug.
I'm talking about acid, dummy. LSD, not cocaine.
Don't tell me about acid. I know too many kids around here that they tell me that they've been on bad trips on LSD. They saw rats, roaches in different sizes, shapes, and colors. It was like a nightmare. That stuff ain't for me. No way.